Jumped off of Instagram a little bit ago. I said I was going to jump over here at 5:30. It's way past 5:30, but that's okay because I'm in downtown Johnstown at the Central Park. They got a live band performing right now outside. But downtown Johnstown is home of Craftworks Studios. My friend and mushroom colleague Daniel Fauché runs this place. If you're in Cambria County, Western PA, come and check us out. If you're out here in the area tonight, we got the open house going on because it's the first Friday of the month. And every first Friday, they do an open house here while they do a live band performing. So definitely come out and see us. I was just downstairs chatting away when we were getting into some deep mushroom talks. I got a gentleman sitting next to me. Would you like to introduce yourself? I mean,
sure. My name's Dennis.
Here, let me get. I'll have you. So those at home that are on my channel know that I really don't get into a lot of the. I'm trying to use nice words here for the YouTube, but I don't really get into the talk of psychedelic mushrooms, for lack of a better word. How's that? That's a fair enough word. I don't really get into it just because I'm not trying to have my videos flagged, but this is live. Can they flag a live? How? I don't know how. So we're going to talk about this because we got into a good discussion, and I think this information is valuable. And I'm an opinionated individual. And I think people need to hear some of the greater opinions that are out there because you're given one opinion from the media. They tell you this is how things are supposed to be. Yet there are other takes on some of these issues, guys. And to have, Dennis join me after what we just talked about, his opinions are definitely worth sharing. So I want to hear what he has to say. I forget exactly where we were in our conversation, but we can just jump in wherever, like it's a pool.
I think we were talking about how humans co-evolved from what my research with mushrooms, that mushrooms have their own kingdom, animal kingdom,
yes,
plant kingdom. And supposedly, I think you and me were saying millions and millions of years, hundreds of millions of years ago, we co-evolved. And I guess we evolved in part because of mushrooms. So there's a connection with us. And in fact, you already know this with psilocybin and the serotonin and the hand in the glove, how it does in the brain.
Yeah, it's a key that fits that lock.
Yeah, and it's all natural.
And it doesn't have there's lots of chemicals in the plant kingdom and out there that when you put it in your body, it interacts with receptors throughout our body, whether it's caffeine. I know that one very well, right? But
I do 4 double espresso a day. I know that. That's good.
But they have, a lot of times they have effects on other secondary receptors that were not wanted. We weren't desiring those effects. We call them side effects, right? So a side effect of caffeine that I deal with is the fact that I have a bladder of a chipmunk, I feel like. I got to use the bathroom all the time when I'm drinking my C4s. It just runs through me. Now, back to the mushrooms. As far as any kind of detrimental side effects, the one side effect that I could imagine is not a direct chemical side effect, but more of a mental state of being that you just want to make sure you're safe.
It's not physically addictive, but It can be psychologically addictive. Some people get addicted to the trip itself.
Escapism kind of thing, or just not being in the reality that you're normally in. And it's out of your system
in 24 hours. I mean, it's like meant to be.
Right. And you don't have to worry about being sick. Have you ever felt hungover the next day?
Not at all.
If anything, you probably felt almost like a glow about you, maybe.
I will say this for the people that are following you and stuff. That
real quickly, I just want to see if there's anybody watching. And I currently have 0. So even though no one's currently watching, I'm going to have this uploaded when we're done. So you can keep talking.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we were talking about that you with your traumatic child and stuff that happened to you as a kid, and through your use of psychedelics, you have come out successful on the other side. And I was sharing with you the same thing with, mom was married 8 times and her husbands would abuse us, and I didn't have any memories pretty much before it's age 17. But with psychedelic use,
you repressed these memories then.
Suppressed, repressed, I don't know what the difference is. I think the brain was just helping me out because I was really abused bad. Everyone in the family was, and all my family members turned to meth. They became meth heads. Some of them were dead. Some of them were prostituting themselves for money and stuff. I was lucky. I joined the military at age 17, so I didn't go down that road. But I turned to psychedelics as a way to help deal with the trauma, and the memory problems. And that stuff is like they say, a good trip, when you're really going deep, is like years of psychotherapy. And like you said, it's not all instantaneous. It's the trip and then your subsequent processing afterwards when you're talking to the Lord with somebody else. That stuff's helped me better than any of the counseling I've received. And I've only been doing it for a year or less.
Well, since you mentioned that, I'm going to bring up the analogy I use downstairs about debriding a wound, because I think I've never said that on camera, and I want them to hear this too. And it looks like still don't have anybody yet, but talking about the experience, the initial, like when you're in that moment on the trip, that is like debriding a wound. Say you have a wound that's festering pus and just it's not healing, it won't close up, and it's been festering for months. The only way it's going to heal is to actually get rid of all that necrotic dead tissue, the stuff that's festering, clean that all out and start fresh. And doing so, it can actually be kind of painful, I imagine. There's an intense work you're doing to get that cleaned out. Once it's cleaned out, then the healing can actually start to begin, and it doesn't happen that same day. The healing's now going to take days in that case. But you have to actually start with a clean slate, the debriding process. So in a similar fashion, consider the trip as the debriding psychologically. It's going in there and it's scrubbing. It's cleaning it out. I mean, it's not eliminating it from your memory necessarily, but it's breaking everything down and giving you a clean slate to work with and saying, okay, yeah, these things have happened. I can only testify to mine, but I do see similarities when other people share their stories. And that is that it can be a difficult time. It can be trying. You're literally going back and having to re-experience some things in some cases. But in doing so, you're given the opportunity to reframe, to see it from a different light, a different angle, maybe even repurpose it. And I'm saying that from my behalf is being able to repurpose trauma is amazing. It's almost like a superpower, because you can then take something that was harmful in the past and say that it made me better. So I would just want to go back to the debriding part. The trip is the debriding, the scrubbing out of the wound, but it's the days after when you're still chewing on it. It's like it's stuck in your mental craw, and you keep working the thoughts that you had, and you get new epiphanies even after the fact. Even though it's out of your system physically, you're back to normal state of mind, but you didn't forget what happened. If anything, it's going to stick with you. It's probably going to be very profound. Some folks can say or will say that the mushroom trip is the most profound experience they've ever had in their life.
A lot of people say that, especially if they're dying of cancer or they have deep-seated adverse childhood experiences and stuff. I myself had a deep sense of acceptance. Life on life's terms. I met my perpetrators in my trips, people that have abused me, and I was able to offer them forgiveness. And again, I couldn't do that with years of counseling, but one good trip, and it was like, wow. And I didn't start this till I was in my 60s. It's not about the trip, it's about healing that wounded child inside, for me personally.
Now, we were talking childhood, and I guess it's each their own, but I can also say that many of the adult traumas, people think trauma is just for children. That's not the case. We experience traumas as adults.
Well, military PTSD, stuff like that.
Yeah. or maybe I could say something like a relational trauma, like maybe someone going through a divorce or a death of a loved one. You know, those can be traumatic experiences that people walk away with, changed negatively as a result. And I'm not trying to advocate saying it's just going to be the cure to fix everybody's plight. But I can say that some of my adult traumas, it's allowed me to, once again, reframe, repurpose them in my head to say, I can learn from these. These can be opportunities for growth. It sounds cliche, It sounds like the stuff we hear in therapy, right? But the fact that it's happening inside and not coming from a therapist on the other side of the room makes it so visceral, so real to you that you cannot not see it any other way. Did I say that right?
They do play a role, though. They do play a role.
The therapist,
and the after effects,
yes,
like you said, in the actual processing, and it could be weeks or months just from the one trip where you're processing and then you're realizing and then you're accepting and then you're moving on with your life past these hurts or whatever, whatever's going on. Anywho.
So that's what we were discussing downstairs. I still got nobody on here, but that's okay. I'll leave this up. I generally have my live streams up at like 9 at night, and I've got a couple friends that get on after hours with me, and we talk.
You're from around here?
Not this county, next county over, but I do come out here to do these things.
Which county?
Westmoreland, Latrobe area.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm still new in this area.
On the live feed, though, I've got a gentleman called Shroom Day 0117 on YouTube. He's got a channel. He's big into metal detecting and coin collecting, but he's a huge advocate in a similar fashion. And his name on his YouTube is Shroom Day 0117 because his personal testimony, as he likes to put it, his moment of clarity for him was a shroom day on 0117. So he named his channel that. That's how profound it was for him. So that's what we're talking about here. This impacts people's lives so positively that a guy is willing to name his YouTube channel after the day he had his day.
Yeah, and it's never too late. I've never done any drugs other than coffee and wine my whole life, and I've only been doing shrooms for the past year. And like I said, I'm getting more closure, more healing because of, magic mushrooms, the good stuff.
Right. And it's right now, I'm throwing this out there as a side note, but right now you've got multiple cities in the country, and I'm mentioning Ann Arbor and Detroit, Oakland, California. Ann Arbor's in Michigan. I don't know if you're aware. You got a handful of cities in Michigan. For some reason, Michigan thinks that it's got to be the first to legalize everything because they're trying to be up in the list because
I've heard Portland and somewhere in Washington.
Yeah, the West Coast. Michigan thinks they're the West Coast of the
Trust
East.
me, we do that on the West Coast.
Well, yeah.
The
West Coast, that's expected, but Michigan thinks it's like the California of the East.
I never knew that.
They behave like that anyway because they legalized cannabis in 2008 medically.
Really?
And then they recreationally legalized it. And now the agenda is now to push for the psychedelics. So Detroit decriminalized, Ferndale, I think, decriminalized, Ann Arbor, Michigan, like all these cities.
Recently?
Last year or 2 years ago. Fairly recent.
But it's a federal
Still illegal, but just like they used to decriminalize back with the cannabis, mushrooms are going through a similar thing right now where it starts by decriminalizing, where the local police won't do nothing over small amounts, but it's still illegal, so they can confiscate it, maybe give you a ticket.
How come they don't do like
that too? So
is that doing something?
What do we got here? Welcome to live chat. I've already been on. Oh, we got somebody here. So do we got somebody in the live chat?
Ayahuasca, they have legalized that under the auspices of religion. So certain churches can have ayahuasca ceremonies.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they do that for magic mushrooms?
They have. Actually,
Really?
Check this out. So I have a YouTube video about this, but we're not going to watch it. I'll just talk about it because I got you live with me. But I really quickly want to mention hello to whoever's watching. There's one person on right now. So welcome. Of course, I welcome you to jump in the chat, interact with us. I have Dennis. I remembered. Yes. I have Dennis with me. I just met this gentleman downstairs. We're at Craftwork Studios downtown Johnstown, and we were talking about experiences with therapeutic mushrooms. Hey, that's what we ought to call them. Therapeutic mushrooms. Can't get wrong with that term.
No.
That would go under the radar of all the flags.
I was in the military for 20 years, and they're talking about at the military level for people with PTSD. They're talking about using us as guinea pigs. You know what I'm saying? To show how it would help people.
Problem is, if you got all the soldiers on mushrooms, they ain't gonna want to fight for a country's wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Well, these are the people that got major problems like PTSD and
I mean,
OCD.
like from the wars, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Come
And-
home and get therapy,
Right, so they're
guys.
not active duty people, no.
Right.
No. It's not gonna be like the marijuana and NAM and stuff like that.
Shoot. Oh, don't get started. My stepdad was telling me the stories about Agent Orange and such, and then he also told me about the paraquat in Mexico. They'd sprayed the fields down there with the herbicide paraquat.
I didn't know that.
Guess what, though? The cartels were still shipping that stuff to the United States in the 70s and early 80s, and a lot of people have lung issues to this day because they smoked paraquat-laced cannabis. Anyway, we just went on a side tangent there, talking about mushrooms. Go ahead, leave a comment if you're here. We got one person in here. I like to know who it is, but it doesn't show who it is unless they comment. And if it comments, I'll see it on the
I'm gonna have
screen.
to be heading out here there.
We at 7 o'clock already?
No, 6:30,
6:30?
6:35.
Well, Dennis, I got to say, I'm glad you joined for a minute. Got
Yeah.
to jump on the channel and talk a little bit about the mushroom things. Oh, the thing I wanted to say before you leave is about a church called, and you can look this up on my channel or Google it. It's called the Church of Psilomethoxin. Take the word psilo like psilocybin, right?
Right.
P-S-I-L-O, then add meth. Not the street meth, but from the chemistry term, silomethoxin, O-X-I-N. So that's your word of the day. Silomethoxin is, in my opinion, it's not a made-up chemical. It's an actual chemical, but it does not occur naturally in magic mushrooms. It's an analog to psilocybin where a methoxy group has been added to it, hence the name silomethoxin. And they claim that it's legal because it's not a banned chemical. It's not on the list. It's kind of, they went around it and loopholed it, and they're adding it to the substrate. Correct me if I'm wrong, internet. I'd have to go back and watch my own video, but I think if I remember correctly, they were adding a type of tryptamine. Maybe it was DMT, but they were adding some sort of tryptamine to the substrate and allowed the mycelium to eat it up, and then create a new chemical called silomethoxin instead of psilocybin to bypass the laws. And they're having church like this. This is an active church that's handing out mushrooms, claiming that they don't contain psilocybin. I claim bullshit in my video, and I get into the science of why, but it's not me trying to knock the therapy. It's me trying to knock their claims.
Right.
I still think that folks going to this place and getting healed is a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
I just don't want people to get confused, misled, and then that's when people start getting hurt because they're playing around with chemicals and thinking, oh, if they do this, I can make it do this, and it doesn't work that way, guys. So that being said, the Church of Psilomethoxin is your homework for the night.
Well,
and Dennis,
all right.
it was my pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you, young man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for the
I don't know if I got
work
your. I'm sorry?
Helen.
Thank you, guys.
I think she wants to be interviewed.
Shoot, she's done. She don't want. We scared her, I think, with our talk.
No, I just don't want to be on
Oh.
TV.
She's on America's Most Wanted, so.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
I'm gonna close things up here in a little bit too, because I know it's getting close. Silomethoxin. If you go on my YouTube channel and go in my playlist, I got a playlist called Fungi Facts. And back down a few videos ago, there's a video about Church of Psilomethoxin. So you can see my video on it, or just straight up Google it.
Okay,
So
thank you.
you're welcome. Have a good night, guys.
See you.
All right, we're back. All right, who do we got? Oops, dropping a mushroom. Here we go. So I'm on the YouTube tonight, guys. We're doing an open house here at Craftwork Studios, downtown Johnstown. I'm up on the second story. If you're in Johnstown, come by and see us. There's a live band performing outside. Let's take the camera. I can hear them jamming out there. I'm actually passing through the sewing room. All right, let's see. All right, can you see it? Got the out there, live bands performing. Live stream up here till 7 o'clock ish. We don't have much activity. Everybody's doing their things. Everybody's out and about. Who wants to be watching a Mr. Jeff live stream on a Friday night, right? Hey, who do we got here? Hey, go back and watch from the beginning. I see somebody's here. I know who that person is. Go back and start from the beginning because I just had a conversation with the gentleman who's in his 60s on mushroom therapy and how it's helped him. I got some people coming up here. Howdy. We're just live streaming still.
I know. Did Dennis stay up here like I asked him to?
No, they left. They went downstairs. I think he had to go.
Alright, I'll take a picture of you.
You got it.
And then I'll do like a little
All
walk-in video.
Hey, no problem. So maybe I'll hold a mushroom here real quick.
Hold the mushroom.
There we go. You got me a crag cat polypore, guys. And I actually got somebody in the chats watching. Fulvithamys robineae. They changed the name of it. Crag cat polypore. And this bad boy, same species, different shape. Or if you want to go fancy, the word is morphology. Us weird naturalist, scientist-minded people,
Look up for a second.
we like to say fancy. We like to say fancy words. Why would we use the word shape when we could say morphology? That sounds cool. Morphin time, baby. But yeah, imagine here. You see the backside where it was attached to the tree. It would have been attached like this. You can see the tree bark is still embedded. And here's the mushroom itself. It's lines running vertically. So it was attached like yay. And you would have seen it on the tree like so. Cracked cat polypore because the cap is cracked. It has this shingle look to it. Very beautiful too. You get into some parts of Pennsylvania where the garages are kind of just let go and run down. And this looks like some of the roofs on some of the garages in Pennsylvania where the moss is growing on top of the old shingles. That's exactly what these look like to me. Should be called the cracked roof polypore, but there we go. Fulvithamys robineae. That is a medicinal mushroom according to ancient Chinese medicine. Grows all over the place out here on your in your groves of locust wood, which is what's the Latin name for the locust tree? Robineae means of Robinia, and Robinia is the locust wood tree. So Robinias are your locust woods. I think it's Robinia augustifolia or something. Might be the name. I don't remember. There's a lot going on in my head. How can I remember all these things? All right. On to another mushroom since I'm going to be leaving shortly. Let's keep showing off some mushrooms. This one's old, dehydrated to death. Anybody recognize this one? So dehydrated that it curled up on itself. It normally would be flat, fanned out like a big fan. But as it dehydrated, it kind of pulls in, curls up like a spider when it dies. It just curls up like a spider legs. This is Dryad's Saddle. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back. Dryad Saddle, aka pheasant back. Back in the saddle with the Dryad Saddle pheasant back. Cereoporus squamosus, which they've clinically shown that a mushroom extract made from this, a hydroxymethanolic extract to be specific, actually has the ability to treat, or clinically had been shown to treat, squamous cell carcinoma. So remember, squamosus, Cereoporus squamosus, was treating squamous cell carcinoma. What else do we got? Oh, look at this one. This one's super lightweight, guys. Unlike our crack cap polypore, which is like picking up a brick because it's woody. Even birch polypore's got a little weight to it. It's like really dense styrofoam, kind of corky weighted. But this bad boy, even though it's got some body to it, it's got a little bit of a thickness to it. It's actually mostly pores, as you can see. Maybe. Can we see the pores on here, guys? There are pores on here. I just got to get the angle right so you can see them. I bet if I turn it this way. Hey, how about right now? Take a look, guys. We're going to try to focus in until we see pores. Looking for little holes. Anyway, this is poor camera. Can't really show them to you. There are pores on here, but they're not your standard pores. If you were to look at this closely, it looks like the pattern you would see on a puffer fish. If you've ever seen a puffer fish and its design, it has a touring pattern. Go check out my video on touring patterns in fungi. I actually have a full video where I explore the different surfaces, the hymenophore surfaces of various Trametes species. All within the genus Trametes, you have this variance of pore surfaces, from real small pores to bigger pores to different patterns like I showed you there. So check that one out. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, and I tend to be mistaken sometimes, but I thought this was the maize gill polypore. Because if you look closely, it doesn't have true pores. Go look up a pufferfish. You'll know what I mean. It's kind of like a hybrid pore to lines. It's weird, but it's really intricate and cool. All right, on to the next one. This guy right here, I actually just found a few of these, and this one kind of showed up. This is the best looking one for camera. It kept its shape nice while it dehydrated. Excuse me. But this, dyer's polypore. It was used by folks that would dye fabrics. They could take this mushroom and make a dye to dye wool, various shades of yellow, orange, even brown and green, depending on what kind of mordant or metal salt they would add. Because they would use a mordant to help it bind, because otherwise you put the fabric in the dye, and after your first wash, it loses half its color. So the mordant will help it bind to the fabric, locking the color in. Anyway, dyer's polypore. Now, its Latin binomial name, you ready for this? It's a wild one. This is Phaeolus schweinitzii. We'll say that one more time because I just think it's got the coolest name. Phaeolus schweinitzii. Dyer's polypore. And while I don't believe these are toxic, they're definitely not one that you're going to be eating. No. Here we go. Next. All right, this one's faded. This one was definitely more vibrant when I found it. Here we are. This was growing on a log, as they tend to do. You find this as a decomposer, breaking down wood. This is where it would have attached to the log. Here, let's see if I can get that better. All right, I'm picking up the camera so we can get better light. Oops. There we go. Yeah, we got to do better with the cameras. This is the backside of the Cinnabar Polypore. Cinnabar, because of its striking red-orange color, you're going to see a better shot of the color when I flip it over, but I wanted you to know that the top of it lost a lot of its color. It's faded and dusty looking. Here's the color I'm talking about. See that richer orange color? That's actually what color the thing was on top too. There we go. Like the richer orange on the right side over here where my pinky's pointing. It was pretty much that color throughout, but as you can see, it loses some of its color. This mushroom does have medicinal qualities. Granted, I'm not getting into all of them now, but I believe I read studies on schizophrenia and on blood health, for what it's worth. All right, next. Shoot, what's next? Last one, guys. This is not a mushroom. This one is not a mushroom. This one is sclerotum. I did not say scrotum. Sclerotum, like the word sclerotic. No, you've heard of multiple sclerosis. Same root word. But sclerotia in mycology refers to a hard mass of hypha that's kind of creates like a knot or a bundle. And while its purpose in the organism may vary depending on the species, it's understood that a lot of times they can sequester compounds in a portion of it, maybe for storage for later use, or maybe to protect itself by moving toxicity to a certain area. I don't know exactly. I don't even know if science knows and understands all of it completely. But in this case, we have chaga. Chaga is not a mushroom, once again, but the organism that forms these nuggets on the side of trees does produce a mushroom. Shoot, where's my... Let me flip this camera upside down. Let me see if it'll do that. There we go. That's better. I did catch it. Very interesting. What did you catch? You found one of these? Try and get good light. So if you look closely at this chunk, well, I was saying they do form mushrooms. This fungus does form mushrooms on birch, but they're rare. You don't find them often, and they usually pop up behind the birch bark, pushing the bark out a little bit. They kind of like, we're talking a dying tree here, so it's losing its bark as it is, but the fungus is doing it. And sprouting mushrooms behind the bark, you could be walking through the woods and not notice some of these things. So it's harder to find the actual mushroom, in my opinion, than these chunks of sclerotia. But chaga has been used historically as medicine. It's a super powerful antioxidant. The compounds in chaga are highly antioxidant, but antioxidant's a buzzword, guys, because oxidants and antioxidants work together in tandem. This is the movement of molecules and ions around. That's how these functions take place. So to have life, you have to have constant reactions of oxidants with antioxidants, if that makes sense. So, but a lot of disease is caused by oxidation. It's caused by inflammation. So antioxidants such as compounds like betulinic acid, and other compounds found in the chaga nuggets have been shown to be great for some of these things. Now, how do you process this piece of turd? Listen to this. Hear how hard that is? Like, how are you going to make a tea out of this thing? It's like a rock. As a matter of fact, you could break tools trying to chip away at this. So I know in the past when Will and I would try to process this, the thing we would end up using was an industrial grade, like a food mill type thing, a grinder of sorts. But this grinder was heavy duty, like it could grind wood. Because you got to treat this like you're working with some hardwood. And don't be afraid of the outside gnarly skin that looks like charcoal or burnt wood. Let me get that on camera. Hold on. Can you see the black, charred appearance? There. I know my camera's not the hottest. Slowly back up till I get some clarity. And there. It's very jaggedy. It looks burnt. It's not. And its inner color is this orangey brown. It would have been probably more vibrant when I harvested it, but at this point, it's faded a little, but definitely going to have this orangey brown color with the black bear black outside. But that black on the outside is not the way it starts. So as this mass starts growing off the side of the old birch tree, and it's doing it slowly, this is not a fast growth thing. But as it's growing, it's getting exposed to the sun every day, right? And that sun exposure causes this melanin accumulation. It has melanin just like humans do. And that accumulation of melanin on the outside gives it this black color. And by the way, melanin is nutritious. It's good for you. So when I say consume chaga, get you that outside portion too. Grind all that stuff up. You're going to get goodness from these things. Chaga, guys, not a mushroom. All right. So I think that's going to conclude my little show and tell of the different polypores and such that we have on display. I've got more in my other office here. What I didn't show you guys, and I don't think I'm going to do a full-blown display and plug it in, but we got the laminar flow behind me. And I look forward to doing some mushroom grows and maybe some cultivation videos for y'all this year. Oops. There we go. Good news is I've been given places and spaces to grow mushrooms. It's just a matter of getting the implements, getting the tools ready, and buying the supplies this year, and teaching folks how to grow mushrooms. I actually look forward to and hope I get more out of the teaching of growing mushrooms than actually growing the mushrooms, because I think that there's greater potential in the teaching parts, whether it's tutorial videos or being a what do you call it? Like a support, where people can reach out and say, hey, I'm trying to do this and I need help with this. Can you help me? So yeah, that's where I see myself doing with this mushroom cultivation. So we got some folks coming up. This is an open house at Craftwork Studios, Johnstown. So folks are welcome to come on through.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello. Hi, folks. I'm just live streaming on YouTube, and they know it's an open house, so folks are welcome to come walk through. This is actually the photography/textiles room, where people do, like, what do they call that, with the looms?
Yeah, the looming stuff. We actually moved it down over there to the crocheting room.
Okay. I don't know nothing about that. I'm a mushroom guy. My name is Mr. Jeff, Pennsylvania's favorite rock star mushroom hunter, and I was just doing a little show and tell of some wild mushrooms that I had accumulated over the past year on my channel. I'm just filming off my phone right here.
And that's what you collected or you grew it?
No, we found those in the wild. But as you were walking up, I was talking about doing some mushroom cultivation videos. I've got a laminar flow HEPA filter that I use for doing lab work to actually cultivate mushrooms and grow them. So that's the plan this year. We'll put up some new videos on my YouTube channel. My channel is called Mr. Jeff, if you're interested in checking it out.
All right, definitely, man.
Pennsylvania's favorite rockstar mushroom hunter is starting a mushroom grow club here at Johnstown.
Wow,
You meet Daniel
that's
already?
neat.
Yes.
Okay, so Daniel is a mushroom forager too.
Yes, he was telling me.
He does the ID classes and such. Him and I are gonna be teaming up, and I told him, we're gonna be teaching folks in Johnstown how to grow mushrooms at home.
Yeah, we
Yes.
found some chicken of the forest up where I live too.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually so much mushrooms in Johnstown. I didn't
Yeah.
realize. Like,
Lots
You're
of
talking about
morels,
wild
too.
ones?
Wow,
Yeah.
Lots of morels too.
Like oyster. I didn't know oyster. People said they found oyster out here too.
For sure. As a matter of fact, part of my heartbeat is feeding people. That's part of the big dream of my channel, and what I want to take this is teaching people how to grow mushrooms for free or super cheap. You don't need one of these, but it helps. But imagine, instead of having to spend nearly $1,000 on your own lab equipment, imagine being able to come to a spot in town where they have the expensive equipment and you get to come and use it
Yeah.
under supervision and grow your own, take your stuff back home, and now you're growing mushrooms at home, but you're part of a bigger community. And the community is gonna afford you it's gonna give you community flex. Imagine you by yourself might not be able to go to Starbucks and say, can I have your used coffee grounds? I grow mushrooms. They might laugh at you. But the club or Daniel can walk in a place and say, hey, we have an established business, a club here, and we're trying to get free coffee grounds for the community to grow mushrooms. That clout, now you're a part of that if you're part of the mushroom club. Now you're getting access to free food for mushrooms, coffee grounds, newspaper, cardboard, waste products. Oysters love them. And oysters are super nutritious. So it's like, wait a minute. My whole life, it's always been for food, it's been nutritious food, delicious food, or cheap food. Pick two. You can't have all three. I want to change that. I think you can have delicious and nutritious mushrooms on the cheap. And I want to change the way we do food.
Yeah.
Starting in Johnstown and spreading it to different communities.
Especially mushrooms. That they
Yeah.
tax mushrooms in the store. You get oyster mushroom in the box.
Expensive.
4 of them like $10.
Somebody's making money, and it ain't us. We're spending it. So I've been sharing that with the people on my channel for months, if not years now, my heartbeat of what I want to take with this project. So you just got to hear it live, me sharing it with you. So yeah, are you guys already members or just checking the place out
We're
tonight?
checking it out, yeah.
I mean, I own the shop, the Oasis,
Okay.
downtown. So
Gotcha.
we're definitely into this type of stuff too.
Yeah, you're looking at various, these
Yeah,
are crack cat polypores.
Okay.
This is dyer's polypore. Back in the day, they would dye wool fabrics using this mushroom to create colors like yellow, orange, green, and brown, depending on what kind of mordants they would mix to do it. I'm not an expert on the techniques. I just
Yeah.
research and journal this stuff. Chaga, you've probably heard of it.
I was
That's-
wondering if that's
It's ugly. It looks like, who eats this, man? What do you do with it? This is chaga, a very potent antioxidant.
Wow.
But it's hard if you want to feel that. It's harder than wood, and you need like
Yeah,
a
it's
It's
hard.
hard.
If you've seen it, if
you
you've
need
seen
like a
this in
heavy
wild,
duty grinder
no.
to break that up.
Yeah.
But if you do, it's medicinal.
It's crazy because if you didn't know and you've seen this in the woods, you would not think it.
No,
think it's like some.
It's a big ugly
Yeah.
black scab on the side of a
Yeah.
birch tree, right?
Like something that got burnt.
Yep, exactly. And that actually is a good telltale feature when you're in the woods and you see a chunky spot, a bulge on the side of a tree, and you're like, is that chaga? It's common. Almost all mushroom hunters go through that is it chaga phase. As we're learning our mushrooms, I asked that question many times in my first years. The telltale feature is I have never seen a scab on a tree that looks straight up like it was on fire. This looks charred. Other scabs just look like busted up bark, but this kind of has a burnt look to it.
Yeah.
And if you were to take a little piece when in the woods on the tree and you were like, is that really chaga? Well, if you can chunk a piece off and it looks orangey brown, you're almost guaranteed that's got to be chaga. So there you go. Hey, I'm Mr. Jeff on YouTube, MisterJeff. If you guys are into mushrooms, subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing more things in Johnstown as the months go here. And what else am I missing? There was something else I was going to say, and I already
I mean, I can
forgot.
provide them with all the stuff later because I work at his apothecary. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be
It's
in
like a
touch
direct
with this.
connection,
Yeah, I like
too.
this stuff, bro. It's
For
like
sure.
great.
What was your name?
Cameron.
Cameron, pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.
All right. Man.
All right, and have we hit 7 o'clock yet?
no.
Yeah, 7 o'clock now.
I'm about to wrap this up then. Hey guys, have a good night. And we're about to close this. We're at 7, so we did our thing. All right. Thank you for watching. I might have to leave this on my channel because not only the beginning of the feed, we were having a discussion with Dennis, but having folks come in and me getting to just off the cuff kind of explain what I do and what I'm about and what's about to happen here. I want to say this. I'm going to finish this live stream with one last thing. And who's commenting real quick? Organic Dean. Yo, don't leave, Dean. Hold on. Hold on. Who else do we got? Where'd my comments go? It's like they popped on my screen and they dipped out. So I don't know how to bring them back on the screen. Just a second, guys. Like you got rid of my live feed. Okay, here we go. Thomas, Mr. Jeff, I will catch up on the rest of the live later. Okay, and Organic Dean, it's just me and you at the moment, bud. Welcome. I was about to jump off here. So, but with you jumping on here, I can't just walk out now that you're here. Check this out. You deserve to see what's going on. I'm just going to do this all over again, but I want to say one more thing before I rehash everything. And I'm about to forget what I was going to say. Because they're playing good music outside too. Shoot, what was I going to share with you, Dean? I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe it'll come to me. Check this out. We're in Johnstown, downtown Johnstown, Kraftwerk Studios. Check out the live band. If you ever make it to Johnstown, Kraftwerk Studios is literally across the street from the gazebo. Excuse me. Live music tonight. Little Tennessee whiskey. There's a few people standing around. Last year, I remember the park was filled, hundreds of people. And maybe it will pick up. The night's still young. It's only 7. But they blocked the roads. I don't know how this guy got in here because I know they blocked some of the access into the area. They sound good. All right. That being said, I'm in the photography and textiles room where I kind of hijacked it today. Set up with the mushroom tapestry tonight. And I had a sit down chat with Dennis about therapeutic mushrooms and his personal experience. I'm grateful for that. Like, I'm glad he was able to, or willing to get on camera and share that, because it's hard to talk about some of these things. It's hard to talk about them because folks are just, I don't know, they're scared. But people's lives are changing for the better. So, and I got a bunch of mushrooms. A birch polypore that was sawn in half. This thing was huge. Ganoderma applanatum. Oh, I didn't mention this one. This is birch polypore. What is its Latin name? Freaking slipping my mind. I'll come back to that one. Chaga. What is that? Inonotus ubiquitous or something? Ubiquitous. I probably said it wrong because I forgot. We got Cereoporus squamosus, dryad saddle, aka pheasant back. We got Ganoderma tsugae, the Ganoderma of the hemlocks. Hemlock varnish cap. Reishi. I believe this is mazegill. And the pour kind of gives me that reason. Or the hymenophore gives me that reason. But it's hard to pick up on the camera. We got the Cinnaberinus. What is this? Polyporus cinnaberinus, I think. Cinnabar polypore. We got the Dyer's polypore. We got the Phaeolus schweinitzii. We got the crackcat polypore, which they changed from Pholinus robineae to Fulviphimes robineae. Bastards. I'm just playing. Don't hate me, scientists. Shoot, what was that birch polypore? That's like one of my favorite mushrooms, and I'm drawing a blank now on its Latin name. I forgot your name. Betulina. It's betulina. What the freak? Something betulina. Because betulina comes from the word betula, birch. You didn't miss anything, Dean. I hope you're still here, by the way. I see your comment says I missed it. You didn't miss it. I'm sticking around because of you, so I hope you're still with me. But what the heck? Can you refresh my memory? I'm not supposed to forget my birch polypore, but I'm for some reason it's not Polyporus betulina. What the heck is it? I'm an idiot. Fomitopsis. Man, when it's right there and my brain can't access it, it's like it blocks it. It's Fomitopsis betulina. And it is kind of got a foamy top, sis. If you think about it, this is like a dense styrofoam. Now, if I put my muscle into it, I could probably break this, right? But it would take a lot of effort. This stuff is very dense, and I got like a idea. I think that it might be possible to take this biomass, this material here, somehow be able to grow the mushroom in a shape that you could capitalize on this integrity, on its structure, but it forms sheets of it, because I think that it would be both soundproof and fire retardant, even more so than the materials that are on the market today. But that's my theory. I think we could put it to the test. We could actually take like a torch to this and see how long it would take to catch on fire. And I think it would take a while. And here's why. Because microscopically, this is filled with pores. I'm not talking about the pores used for reproduction. I'm just talking about the spaces of air that's all throughout this. This is like a dense sponge, or like, yeah. And literally microscopic air pockets throughout are going to act like insulation. So any kind of flame put to this, it may char the top layer, but it ain't going to penetrate. And therefore, this could, like, even something as thin as like a ½ inch could have like a long fire retardant time rate to it, where it took a long time to burn through. That's my theory, but I'd have no way to prove it without trying it. I'd have to put the flame to it. Maybe we should try something like that, because that would be cool. This was actually one of the first wild mushrooms I was able to get cloned and cultivated in a jar too. And I had plans, big plans, and I got contamination. So I had to quit on that. But we'll try it again. Birch polypore is common out in these parts throughout Pennsylvania. You find a birch grove and get you some. Especially if you're out there in the wintertime. This is one of those few mushrooms that actually doesn't do bad in the winter. You can grow them in the wintertime. I got another person here. We got Loving Dean and another person maybe. If you're here, come on and say hello. I was gonna get off. Oh, we got comments, man. I need to scroll down and see the comments. Sorry, I'm slipping here. I'm just waiting to go fishing scattered storms, but they seem to be done. Whereabouts are you again, Dean? You told me and I forgot. Like, you can give me a general vicinity, but we had some rain earlier today, but it's not bad now. You're in PA, right? I just bought a mushroom supplement because a Rite Aid was closing and had everything 40 to 70% off. Got a good deal. Okay. We were talking about mushroom supplements down below and how some companies will make their medicinal mushroom supplements or nutritional mushroom supplements out of mycelium versus fruiting bodies. And there's debates over this. And I'm about to share my opinion since I have my captive audience of 2 people here. Check this out. Southwest PA. Oh, yeah, that's right. So you encounter some of the same weather as I do just before me. You catch the weather before I do because it generally comes from your direction. So, all right, here's my little unpopular opinion when it comes to mushroom supplements and mycelium versus fruiting bodies. This is a fruiting body, guys. I know you know this, Dean, so I'm kind of just explaining this to the audience who may watch this later. But this is a fruiting body. 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 This is not a fruiting body. Fruiting body is just our fancy way of saying mushroom, guys. It's the part of the organism that fruits or bears forth its reproduction. In this case, spores. So the spores come from this body, the mushroom. That's why it's the fruiting body. Fruiting bodies versus mycelium has been debated in supplements because some folks say that to get the most nutrition, you want the mushroom, not its mycelium. But here's the thing, the kicker. Some mushrooms, oh, what do we got here? All right, just reading comments. Some mushrooms are going to have different concentrations of different compounds in the fruiting body than the mycelium. And it's not to say it has more of all these compounds in the mushroom than the mycelium. In some cases, certain medicinal compounds actually get reduced when it produces the fruiting body. The concentration of the beneficial compounds are greater in the mycelium in some cases. But this is not a hard and fast rule across all mushroom species. This was specifically done on certain mushrooms. And the mushroom that I have in mind I'm referring to is lion's mane, your Hericium, Erinaceus, and the like. I'm going to get the study wrong when I try to repeat it, so I'm not going to repeat it verbatim, but I'm going to give you the understanding of what it conveyed. And that is that certain compounds were boosted when it produced fruiting bodies from the mycelium. Certain compounds stayed more concentrated in the mycelium than went into the fruiting body. You have two classes of compounds that are heavily studied right now in lion's mane. One of them are your hericenones, which are a class of compounds that have been shown to have efficacy in our bodies, right? And then you have the erinacines, another class of compounds. And these classes of compounds are not directly tied to each other. They have their own modes of action and they do their things. But in the study that I read, and this is where I'm going to get it goofed, I may have this flip-flopped, but one of the classes of compounds, whether it be the hericenones or the erinacines, I don't remember, but one of them was higher in the mushroom and one of them was higher in the mycelium. So for therapy's sake, it almost sounds like it would make sense to kind of consume both. Get you the mycelium, get you the fruiting body, consume both of them. Make a supplement that takes advantage, capitalizes on the most potent portions of the organism, and just doing our due diligence, right? As a supplement producer, do our due diligence to produce an awesome compound, an awesome product for the consumer. That's going to benefit them. It benefits you to give them what they want. Don't give them garbage. I'm not picking on any company because I don't know who's out there giving garbage. And mind you, that was one study on one species. And I could be misspoken, but I believe that for the most part, consuming the mushrooms is going to give you more nutritional value. Once again, I'm not saying mycelium is bad. But nobody wants to do their own homework these days. They rely on other folks to do the work for them, and we trust. And that's how people get, bamboozled by companies, because we just trust that, it's a company, they must be looking out for us. No, they're looking out for their monies. So anyway, let's get back to comments. Where am I at here? All right, I think I'm caught up on my discussion there, but that's my thoughts on mushroom supplements. Is do your own homework, your due diligence. First of all, they could say that it's got 7 different species in it, and yet they're giving you low grade quality of those 7 species, and they're really not that active in their efficacy, right? I personally am not out buying supplements, but I've been given supplements before and consuming them, and I've not, been mad about it. And as a matter of fact, even a low-grade mushroom supplement's probably going to contain beta-glucans, chitin, and other components of the organism that makes up its hyphal cell walls. So these compounds are good for you. So even a low-quality mushroom compound or mushroom supplement, and I say low quality as far as like low medicinal benefits, is still going to have something from the mushroom itself or from the cell walls. That's not to say that there ain't bad mushroom supplements out there that have compounds in them that are toxic. I mean, not from a toxic mushroom, but something like heavy metals or pesticides or some kind of bullcrap because the company is not, practicing safe practices. Everybody do your homework when you're buying stuff. That's all I can say. If I ever produce a mushroom supplement for sale, I would want it to be something that I'm using, that I'm trusting, because this is what I'd be doing before I was even thinking about selling it. I'm only selling it because other people need to try this. That would be my attitude behind creating a mushroom supplement. And I think it'd be pretty awesome if I did come out with a energy drink, something that had mushrooms in it, but also some other goodies that I enjoy and trust. So, hey, I'm still doing the live, but it's after 7. It's only because one of my fans is on there, so I'm chatting with him. It's Loving Dean, the God Machine, also known as Organic. Now he goes by the name Organic Machine Dean 333. He's out of Southwest PA. He's a mushroom hunter. He's been to MycoFest, and I will see him again this year. Or no, I will meet him at MycoFest because I've not met him yet in person.
Southwest isn't far. If you hunt and you're, like we're in Johnstown right now, that can't be too far from us. Like I do intro talks. You might be past that. I don't know, but I do them in Johnstown. I have a Johnstown Mushroom Club. So if you find that on Facebook, if you're on Facebook by chance, reach out to the Johnstown Mushroom Club, and we're going to have events and things like that. But if you're Myco and Fungal Family, reach out.
Oh, he's commenting. He's been commenting. Oh, and Shroom Day's here too. Oh my goodness. So let me just make sure he didn't say nothing to you. He waved.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And now Shroom Day's there, 2 of us.
Yeah.
Shroom Day is Chris. You met him, didn't you? At MycoFest? He was at MycoFest. He was the volunteer helping with trash all weekend.
I probably have.
He kind of has like a goatee, not as crazy as mine, but he's a bald guy, goatee. We all look like Walter White. All right.
Nice.
Hey, by the way, I just want to catch you real quick. I forgot. Being that the night is young and I'm still doing this, I don't know what we got planned afterwards or anything. I'm kind of leaving it up in the air to you.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm back. I may not be on here much longer. It's coming up on an hour. I didn't know I'd even be on here this long because I thought I'd end at 7, but we got to talking, so why not? Hey, and welcome, Shroom Day. I didn't even warn you because I thought you'd be working or busy because it's earlier in the afternoon, daytime than late night tonight. But I'm live at Johnstown. They have the first Friday of each month, they do an open house. So I said, man, let me show up for the open house and I'll go live stream and kind of do a show and tell for folks walking in. They can meet the crazy mushroom guy here. There's actually a couple of us. So Daniel, who runs Craftworks, this is his place. He's a mushroom crazy guy too. So I get to rent space at a Craftworks studio here in Johnstown off of a mushroom guy. I can't beat that. So, oh man, the problem with doing my live stream this way is it doesn't pop up the new comments. So if I don't look, I don't see them. So I didn't realize. Wait, I thought you were bald. You don't you shave your head? I can definitely say I'm balding, but I shave my head once a month or so. That's what I mean. All right. We got more? Nope, that's it. Okay. Shoot, I'm trying to read my comments now and it won't roll down. Here we go. Well, I am glad both of you guys showed up unexpectedly. Like when I do these impromptu live streams, I'm not expecting my regular guys and friends to hop on here with me because I know you guys got lives too. But they were doing the Johnstown open house, and there's a live band outside performing. They do this first Friday of each month throughout the summer and such. All right, I see a comment here. What do we got here? I'm not bald, just sitting in the front. You know what? Forgive me, because in my head, I got you in my head like Walter White. Maybe it's just the goatee. That's right. You do. I think you got dark hair, if I'm not mistaken. So, oh shoot. What do you think of the tapestry? It's not mine, but it's at the place I rent here, so I thought perfect. I need a tripod. I need to have the camera like, what are we talking about? I guess like right here. Something. Imagine like maybe I'm sitting a little higher. I don't know. I want to get that mushroom in the shot better. But yeah. Right there. Like that is where I should be. What do you think? You digging it? Yeah, that's this place's. It's not mine. So it doesn't go with me. Is there any mushroom supplements you guys would recommend? Any ones you've tried or trusted or trust? Let's see. A lot of your, to lack of a better word, your mom and pop tinctures that are made by some of the smaller folks that are vending. I say smaller, I'm not talking giant corporations, but a lot of these folks are making tinctures from scratch, in their kitchen, like cottage industry style. And some of that stuff can be potent. It can be good because they're going to be either self-supplying or outsourcing from another mushroom hunter. Like they're getting wild mushrooms probably from the source, from their backyard or in the woods or something. So that would be my thing is get you, if you're getting mushroom supplements, find somebody who's making their own with wild mushrooms because they're going to be legit. But that being said, also somebody doing it out of their kitchen or a cottage industry may not have the same standards that you might prefer in your products, right? So do your homework, know your supplier, know the people that are doing this stuff, and just be careful. Because when I say like they could be doing it not consistently, they could do a batch that's not potent. They may not be standardizing their doses in a sense, like imagine you've got pounds of this wild reishi, right? And you want to turn it into bottles of tincture. You want to make 100 bottles out of it, and you've done the math and it all will do right. But instead of doing like, okay, a couple mushrooms over here is making these 10 bottles, and then these mushrooms over here are doing these 10 bottles, you don't have standardized dosing and potencies from bottle to bottle. So you have different lots, different batches. So standardizing would be taking all of them and like pulverizing, grinding them up or whatever, mixing them up so they're all now one and the same, and you can't distinguish a strength or potency level differentiation throughout the batch. It's all one batch now. And now making it and dividing it up, they're all going to be the same. Standardized. All right. Shroom Day says, I spoke with someone at Michael Fest that does testing on mushroom supplies. Many of the mushroom suppliers out there have heavy metals found in their products. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. I said pesticides, but heavy metals is probably the bigger one to watch out for. So, and I'm wondering if is it from the mushrooms, or what if it's from something else? Like, what if it's from like the substrates? They're not screening out. They're getting their substrates cheap, and they're getting garbage, poor quality substrates that has heavy metals in it. I don't know. Just kind of saying. And are you talking supplements like turkey tail and reishi, or are you talking more of like your mushroom gummies and stuff, or amanitas? I guess it wouldn't matter. It applies to them all, right? All right. It says here the growers may grow here in the U.S., but the substrate comes from overseas. Yeah, that's the danger, is getting some overseas substrate too. Where are you getting your cocoa coir? Where are you getting your straw? Where are you getting your whatever substrate you're using? Your rice bran or whatever they might be using. When you get it from overseas, other countries are not going to have necessarily the same regulations. So, all right. That being said, what do we got? Dean writes, or any recommendations on a direction to look on how to make them or the best way to make them? I guess I'm going to have to do videos. Teach you guys how to make tinctures and stuff. And teas and different techniques you can use to get the compounds from these mushrooms. To me, I'm one who wants to convey principles. If I can teach you the underlying principles, then you can take that knowledge and apply it to any scenario you find yourself in, depending on the mushroom or the equipment you have on hand. You can become more resourceful because you know what you're trying to do. You know what the end result goal is, and you know the principles and how to achieve that, so it doesn't matter what incidental details you have. That's how I like to teach. Doesn't mean I always do. Sometimes folks need things to just be spelled out, bop, 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 right in a row. Tell me what I need to do, and I will just copy that, and I'm not going to understand it, but I'm just going to do it, and they'll get the results they want. And I teach that way sometimes too, but I know I don't feel the teaching as much when I do it that way. All right, it says here, some mushrooms can be extracted from just alcohol. Some require water and alcohol extracts. Yeah, let me get into that a little bit since you brought that up. Shroom Day mentions that some mushroom extracts out there, you can get the beneficial compounds from water, from alcohol only, where other ones will do better with a water alcohol blend extract. And what I mean is they'll do a dual extract. You take different ways of doing a dual extract, by the way. You could take, we'll use birch polypore as an example. You could take birch polypore, chop it in half, make a batch with the alcohol, make a batch with the water, let them steep, do their thing, brew or whatever, and then once they're done pulling the goodies into them, then combine the alcohol and water into one bottle. And now you've got your blend, 50-50 or whatever ratio you do. So maybe you do twice as much alcohol to water. But the difference between the alcohol extract and the water extract is what compounds are going to be pulled into solution. There's different affinities. Some compounds like water. Some of them will like the alcohol better. Some will like a different chemical as its solvent. So in science, they find that certain compounds are going to be more polar, some are going to be more non-polar, and there's charts you can look at and you can be like, okay, I know that this mushroom has a compound that when using this solvent, it pulls it this well, but if I use this other solvent, it extracts much better. So if it's about potency and getting the most on the extraction, you can use a solvent. You could even potentially use a solvent that you wouldn't consume if you were able to cook off that solvent after the fact, leaving behind a precipitate, a residue of the medicine, if that makes sense. A good example, a correlation would be like making like an oil where you'd use butane. And I'm talking about a different industry, but using a butane to pull off lipophilic compounds and then cooking the butane off because the butane's undesired for human consumption. But the butane has a boiling point, so you can boil it off. So you could actually use other compounds besides alcohol or water to extract. And if you know what its solvency properties are, you might actually get more medicine out of a mushroom using something like methanol, which, by the way, methanol is toxic. It could kill you. Methanol is used to denature, as a matter of fact, to denature ethanol to make it undrinkable. which the term undrinkable makes no sense to me because you could still drink it. It's just going to harm you. So it's not undrinkable. It's just not safe to drink. There we go. All that being said, I'm looking at your comments, Shroom Day. I know you're chatting with Dean too, so I'm just giving my 2 cents. Or any recommendation on direction to look. It depends on the strain. Some mushrooms can be extracted. Oh, I read that already. All right, some strains, the mycelium is best. Some strains, fruiting bodies. It all depends. Yeah, I did talk about that. I discussed a little bit about that probably before you jumped in here, Shroom Day. But that's all good. You're putting it in the comments so people can read it too. There's so many variables in making tinctures. And honestly, if you're new to making tinctures, don't even worry about what I just said. Definitely stick to water, glycerin, alcohol, some of your safer for consumption ingredients to make the tinctures. You ain't going to get into any kind of harm and trouble. But what is it? Hydroethanolic is your dual extract, water and ethanol. And if you only do alcohol, sure, you could get a decent tincture that's going to pull out. It's going to pull the compounds that like alcohol, that are alcohol loving or friendly. It'll bind to the alcohol. Because in order for these pullings, these movements of molecules, these compounds to leave one solution and go into another, it's electromagnetism. It's attraction on a molecular level. These molecules are bound in one solution. They're attracted. But if something comes along that's even more of an attractor, it's like, oh, we like that more. And now we're over here. We're attached to this molecule now. We're going to ride with it. So it's about attraction. And certain compounds are attracted to alcohol more than water. So you soak the mushroom that's all ground up in alcohol, it pulls the alcohol. Here's the thing. Go find you pure alcohol, I dare you. It's hard to find. Even Everclear contains a little bit of water, right? So unless you're getting like some lab grade, like 100% non-denatured ethanol, you're going to have a little bit of water in it, because that's just the nature of how alcohol works, is it pulls water from the atmosphere. And you're going to have some water in there. And if you're buying Everclear or some kind of distilled spirits, it's going to be a proof, something under 200 proof. So say you use a bottle of like Absolute vodka, which would be stupid. Get you some cheap stuff. But if you want to do a vodka extract, you're literally doing a water and alcohol at the same time extract, where the water is going to do its thing, the alcohol is going to do its thing too to some degree, but the water and alcohol are attracted to each other, right? So I'm not exactly sure how they're doing the dance chemically, but you're going to get a different pull than you would off of higher concentration alcohol or a lower concentration alcohol. So all these things do come into factor. I feel like I'm talking to, like, Shroom Day is hearing everything. He already knows this. So this is directly to you, Dean, I imagine. I would encourage you, if you like doing mushrooms, if you like foraging for mushrooms, and if you like the thought of taking mushrooms like maybe chaga or reishi or birch polypore and making medicine out of it, I would encourage you to play around with making your own tinctures, but start safe. Start with using something like vodka or Everclear, because you know you're not using a harmful toxic chemical like methanol or acetone or something. But you can go on the internet and look up these mushrooms and look up the active ingredients in some of these mushrooms and the compounds, and then you can go and look up the actual compound by name and look up its like chemical properties. And if you really wanted to get into it, you could find what types of solvents work best with which compounds and run with that. That's how you really get into it. But it's chemistry. Man, I haven't even looked at the comments. Shroom Day probably left me 10 more. Well, 4 more. All right, research. Yeah, do your homework. Podcasts are a great source of info too. YouTube too. The best you're gonna get is Everclear. It works good for what I've used it for sure. Yeah, I mean, what I was talking about, lab grade, 100% on, what did I just say? Undenatured. All that stuff is overkill for the simple man's tincture. You don't need to do anything crazy like that. You're gonna pay way too much for, honestly, the little bit of extra benefit on the extract ain't going to be worth it. I wouldn't drink it though. Are you talking about Everclear? Like for tinctures, we're not out there just guzzling it anyway, right? We're taking drops of it or tiny amounts. So it's not about the alcohol. It's about it's about what it's carrying. The alcohol is just the carrier. Excuse me. Man, I must be lacking on the caffeine because I am not supposed to be yawning yet. Did I show you guys the laminar flow? Whoa, there we go. Did I show you guys that? Check that out. But this is the laminar flow setup. It's not plugged in. Depending on how the day went, if we had a lot of traffic coming in, I was going to plug it in, do a live demo of how it operates, and even talk to you guys about like the science behind laminar flow and why they work. What are they actually doing? There's a lot that goes on that gets this air filtered. It's more than just a screen that's blocking out certain size particles. And I'd love to do a full-blown laminar flow video on my channel that's not a live stream. If you guys are interested, if you want to see that as a future video of mine, if you want to see a video where I do a breakdown on why laminar flow is amazing, but also why it's not necessary for a lot of home grows, I want to do a video talking about that. What do you guys think? Okay, let me get back in here. I see more comments though. Dean, if you have a few bucks to spend and really want to make your own tinctures, I'd recommend getting yourself a small 250 milliliter. Man, I can't pronounce that word. Extractor, Soxhlet. It's probably one of the best pieces of equipment I've invested in. I can't count on many people I've been able to help with it. Let me ask you this, Mr. Jeff. How often should I replace my HEPA filter? It's 11.5 inches thick. What? Wait, what? Are you sure? 11.5 inches thick? Ours, the one that's in here, is only like 5.5, almost 6 inches thick. 11 inches thick? Do you ever have to replace it? Man alive, I didn't know they made them that thick. That's what she said. Yo, that's a good question. We replaced this one time, but we had to because it got attacked by a mouse that got inside. Got up inside the blower, went down in there, and was chewing it up from the inside out. So here's my personal recommendation. If the laminar flow filter is damaged to the point where you no longer have laminar flow, say you mess with these fins and stuff, the air is not going to flow out straight. It's going to create turbulence. And one fin over here may not create turbulence off to the other side, but it does create a pocket of air that's not doing its job. And by not doing its job, you don't have the protection that you're supposed to get from the laminar flow and doing its thing. It's creating like a barrier. So I would say if you have damage that's a little excessive, scrap it, get a new one. As far as like, do you run your laminar flow while cooking? If you've ever been cooking in the kitchen and your laminar flow is running, it's going to be pulling things like grease and stuff from the air if you're cooking with grease or other particulates, food particulates. And while it will filter it, it'll definitely filter it. So you're cooking bacon in the kitchen. The laminar flow can filter a lot of those particulates out of the air, but you're just wasting your filter. You're actually using your filter's time up faster that way. So I would avoid using it while cooking or while things are cooking. or any kind of smoke in the air, things like that, it will filter the things out, but you're wasting your laminar flow on things that aren't mycological. That's my thought. I don't have a time, like a timestamp, 6 months or a year. I wish there was a way that you could test the air quality for cheap. One thing you can do is take a flame to it to see if it's still flowing like laminar. That flame should be like, say a lighter is going to be like flickering or whatever, but under laminar flow, it might just go like this and just stay bent, the flame just 90 degrees. That means you've got laminar flow air. So mechanically, the filter's working great. But as far as performance on the quality of the air coming out, you might almost have to test it. So that, I wish I had a better answer. That's worth me doing a little homework and research. And so if I do a laminar flow video, these are things that I'll have to look up so we can get to the bottom of that. That's a great question that I don't have the exact answer to. I just bullshitted with you for a minute. I still have proper flow. Just don't know if it ever really needs to be replaced. They should be replaced after a while because as it's filtering, it's accumulating particulates. But the longer track that you have, if you've got 11 inches to work with, you have a longer filtration time than I do. And I'm not going to get into all the science of it, but part of the filtration process is on a molecular level. We're talking, if you were to zoom in and see these molecules flying through the tunnel of the filter, and as they're flying, they're bumping into each other too. And they're bouncing off each other, Brownian motions taking place and such. And some of them are going to stick to the sidewalls of that length. So the longer length of travel that air has to flow through to get out the other end, more chance of particles hitting the sides. So the filter's doing its job. That's one of the filter's actions it's intended to do. It doesn't just filter at the end membrane where the air is finally coming out and then just blocking right there at the membrane that only allows certain diameter particulates through. A lot of the filtration is along the length. Think of like a pinball, bing, 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 bouncing along, and eventually stuff gets stuck on the side. That's a lot of the filtration right there. So I would say that if you've got an 11 inch, if yours is 11 inches thick, that's a long lasting filter versus mine. But mine's a 5.5 or 5 7/8 or something. So I know it's still decent. Maybe the answer I should get us is like under normal air conditions, under regular air conditions, how many hours of runtime do those filters, are they rated for? That's the answer we need. And that wouldn't be a bad idea then to say, like someone with my setup, is put a little thing up on top of my laminar flow so when I run it, I can put like a hash mark saying I turned it on today and it ran. It was just a hash, like just a little hash saying it had a session. And in my mind, I can average out an average session could be a half hour of runtime or whatever. So then I can extrapolate the math off of that and just say, okay, I've ran this thing 50 times. So it's definitely getting close. These are the things we can do. I might have to consider doing stuff like that. Because that's a good question. It's about filter length of life. All right. Dang, you ran yours for up to 10 hours? Were you using it to supply air for something continuously, though? You weren't just doing agar, were you? Or maybe you were for 10 hours straight, you freaking beast. I don't know. Sorry, I had a phone call. I'm heading up to the comments, and thank you for the info. Hey, Brother Dean, I'm about to hop off here too real soon. I know I talk about that, but I'm going to let you guys have your Friday night back. But let me finish reading real quick. I use my flow hood for scrubbing the air in my house also. Okay, fair enough. And you know what? I did a little bit of that during COVID, thinking it was going to keep me healthy if I had my laminar flow running in the house too. Whether it did or not, I don't know, but the thought, right? But it will clean your air. And if you are doing that, you are using the life up on your filter sooner. But it really is going to be like the heavy particulates are going to lower the lifespan faster. Smoke, grease, dust, your things in the air, more than just the actual gases in the air. All right, where are we at here? So as long as I have proper laminar flow, I'm good. So yeah, that's. If you have laminar flow, you should be good because you're creating that force field protection in your environment from the outside contaminants. But as far as like bacteria or garbage coming in through your filter because your filter's old, that's not going to happen. If anything, your filter's just going to have crappier like air output, right? So I wouldn't worry about it pushing out dirty air. I'd be worried about it not pushing out clean air far enough for me to work safely. So here, let me put the camera. Like here's a cross section a little bit. You can kind of see the filter now. So say good fresh filter. I take my lighter or my flame, my candle, and I hold it out, and it's putting out good laminar flow. It's like perfectly bent 90-degree flame, like barely flickering like this. But it's just doing its thing. But as I draw it out, say I'm out like 6 inches from it, and it's kind of more like this now, you may realize that, oh, my laminar flow is turning into turbulent flow as the air is not keeping a steady stream. It's now intermingling as I get out here because the flame's doing more flickering. And by the time I get out here, it's just all over the place. It's still getting blown on, but it's getting hit from different directions. So the air's not coming out. That's not safe to work under because that could be introducing air from the sides, from the top, from the bottom that could have contaminants. So that's why I would prefer working dead center below the top. Like if I was to look at, let me turn this like this. So here's your laminar flow, like this spot where the top of my finger down to my fist. This area right here is my work area because I'm creating this little force field around of clean air protecting from outside contaminants. Once again, if this gets compromised, that's windows of opportunity for contaminants to catch a ride into the laminar, mix in with the turbulent, and work its way to my working environment where I don't want it to be. I want my little space to be clean. So you want your laminar flow to be beyond your work area. I don't like to work close to the edge. Man, I hope I know I'm kind of rambling. I hope I'm helping you guys. To scrub the cigarette smoke from your house. Yeah, your laminar flow is going to suffer from that. But mind you, you also got the beefiest one I've ever heard of. So do the lighter test. Take a Bic lighter or something to it and hold it out in front. And see how far you can draw the lighter away before the lighter is showing turbulence. If it's just this with barely a little flicker, you got good laminar flow action. But as you get away and it starts getting more rapidly flickering in different directions, more sporadic, you know that it's got air currents that are no longer traveling in the direction from the filter. Air is coming from other angles. And that means there's potentiality for contaminants to get into your workspace. Man, I said it like 4.5 times. You know what I mean. You get it. And I know you personally, Shroom Day, and I know you're an intelligent man. So I probably am saying stuff and you're the whole time like, yeah, I know. So you're no idiot. All right. I kept mine running the entire 2 weeks when my girlfriend got COVID. She stayed in her half of the house. I stayed in mine, and the filter was between us the entire time. I mean, it probably actually did a decent job. And if you're just scrubbing regular air, you got that filter's going to be doing you all right. There's microscopic particulates that you don't even see in the quote unquote clean air. But you get some really dirty air, like air in your kitchen while you're cooking or smoking or whatever. Yeah, you're not doing your filter any favors. I'm learning things by listening and becoming curious. So I'd say you're doing good. All right. Hey guys, I appreciate you jumping in. Whoops. There we go. I do appreciate you jumping on, supporting my channel like you do. Much appreciated. This was just this once a month kind of thing in Johnstown as we're promoting Craftwork Studios downtown. This is a space. The space is not free. You sign up and become a member with a monthly fee. But the open house is free for the public to come in and check it out. And I think if you're local, if you're in the Johnstown area and you have any kind of creative spark, you're missing out if you're not hanging out and doing stuff here, because there's so many things that you can get involved in and utilize. There's tools. They were giving away free starter tomato plants because that's what's happening here. There's people creating things, and sometimes there's surpluses. So here, take one, take two. There's a band that practices upstairs at night, some nights of the week. I don't know which ones, but a lot of different creative people using these spots, and they're sharing it, and people, supporting each other. Whether it's somebody doing tarot card readings, somebody making candles, somebody doing crochet and looming, me with my mushroom bowl shiitake. You know what I'm saying? All right. On that note, oh, you're corresponding with Dean. No problem. Dean, I'm going to post a link for you. Copy it. I'm going to delete it within a couple of minutes. Sign up and ask away. There's a bunch of I think you meant very smart people that will be happy to help you out. There we go. All right. Yeah. Shoot, you don't even necessarily have to delete that, man, but I can appreciate you respecting. So the folks there will help you out 24 hours a day. All right. So on that note, guys, I'm going to get the heck off here. And honestly, I want to talk. I actually want to be on the phone and talk with you, Shroom Day. I'd like to chat with you for a little bit, but I'd have to get out to my truck and such like that. And if you're not able to take a phone call or do anything, we'll do it another time. So what do you think? I'm going to leave that up to you. It sounds like you ought to be on the phone with Dean. You guys could be chatting it up. But tell me what's up here. I'm going to get off the YouTube regardless, whatever direction we go. You got to be on. Okay, no problem. All right, gentlemen, thank you again for your time. Have a good night. And until next time, this Tuesday night, we'll have a Fungi Facts video. You guys are always welcome to join me for that. And maybe I'll actually have you on the screen with me, Shroom Day. We could do like we do with our the non-YouTube live stream, the StreamYard. If you're down to do StreamYard Tuesday, I'm down. Until next time, guys, have a great night. Peace. And of course, I never can figure this out. There we go. See yous.